CSS units. Let's take a quick look at how measuring systems work in CSS. This is one of the crucial topics that you should understand for your entirety of CSS to work on different types of displays, screens, and media. So for example, let's take a look at this simple sheet where I have given you all the types of measurement units that are used on CSS. Now, there are two primary types. One is absolute lengths and relative lengths. Absolute lengths are fixed lengths. So there's a universal length that is used by everyone. For us, for example, we have centimeters, millimeters, inches. This comes handy when you're designing your CSS for a page that could be printed on a specific paper size or a PDF size, which is generally either letter A4, A3, or so on. So you can build your CSS according to that where you have fixed length. So when you have fixed length, you can actually plan the size of your content, including the size of your font, such as on an invoice or a bill or a receipt, which is printed at a counter. And online services, when you make a payment, the printout is very much aligned with the A4 size. So mostly it is done using fixed lengths when you know the output screen type or output media type. The fixed lens has pixels, points, and PCs, but pixel, point, and PC is basically again slightly dependent. Although it is fixed, but it also slightly depends on the capability of the device to display the number of pixels within a fixed area. This is known as PPI. When you're buying new devices and you look into the technical specs of device display, there's a little spec which is mentioned as PPI, which is pixels per inch. That is how many pixels can be displayed per inch. So, for example, the 4K display will be able to display 4 or 8 times the PPI of a FHD. Now, I might be bad at calculating that, but it's a very higher number. So it allows us to display more pixels on a screen within a few inches. That's what it means. Whereas relative lengths are, of course, going to be in comparison to something, either to the root of the document, what is a base size set to things. So you could have the root of the document based on some absolute lengths. That is, you could have set a font size to, let's say, 2 centimeters, and you could have then based everything relative to it. So you have relative lengths over here, which is EM, okay, which is the relative to the font size of the element itself. That is, every element in HTML has its own default font size. Then you have an EM could be simply 2 times that or 3 times that. Then EX is based on the relative X height of the current font. Then you have REM, which is root element. Okay, that is the document itself, and Vmin, Vmax. And last but not least, percentage. But remember, above all, the ones which are used the most is percentage, VH, VW, EM when it comes to relative lengths. And in case of fixed lengths, you have pixels, inches, millimeters, and centimeters used most of the time. I've encountered points and PC in a very rare occasions, but it doesn't mean you should ignore these. So let's take a look at the example over here. Now, I've simply created this example which displays certain headings and 2 paragraphs and a div. Now we have this font size over here set using points. And as we saw in the sheet, 1 point equals to 1 PC equals to 12 points. Whereas we have set the font size of the first paragraph to 24 points, I used 2 PC to match the exact font size on the second paragraph. I could also use centimeters for the font size, which I've done inside this div. I've used 2 centimeters as a font size. And this font size remains fixed no matter what. So let's also play around with width over here. I can use width and I can use, let's say, 500 pixels width for the div, which kind of shrinks my div. And this width is based on pixels. And based on the capacity of my screen to display the number of pixels together, it is able to show me that. Now, let's say we have a smaller display. Let's go to the DevTools mode. And let's also switch the screen size a little. And as I reduce it to less than 300 to 500 pixels, which is the width is less than 500 pixels, it's almost half of that. You see, it appears to have taken 100% of the available width. So this means the screen itself is not able to render 500 pixels. Similarly, what can be done over here is we can have percentage set over here. So if I use 50% instead, I know no matter what the screen size is, the div will always be half the size of the screen. So this is how relativity and fixed lengths can be used to set sizes to different aspects or different elements in CSS. This is something which cannot be just taught by an example. You will have to experience this. You will have to practice and try this out. It's a very simple technique. Please do try it.